Hey friends, Editor Tim here with just 3 quick notes before we get this episode started. First and foremost, we're going to take a 2-week break between seasons 1 and 2. But don't worry, we're still going to release 2 very new, very special episodes. What makes them special, you ask? Well, the first one is going to be an interview I got to do with Chris Bongat, who is an editor, animator, and creative director on early home movies. The second episode will be a general breakdown with myself, Adele, and Marcin as we talk about the interview and just our thoughts on Season 1 in general. So those 2 episodes will come out after the Season 1 finale, and then we'll go into Season 2. Another quick note, I come to you with hat in hand to ask, if you enjoy this podcast, please leave us a 5-star review. I'm more than willing to read 5-star reviews on the podcast, and it really just helps us with the algorithm. And the final note, as we mentioned, Adele's Creative Corner is a partnership with the company Womanizer, who is a sex toy company. If that makes you uncomfortable, please fast forward through Adele's Creative Corner. Other than that, enjoy the episode. Do we want to give the episode an overall grade?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right, thank you for listening to Rewatching Home Movies. Hello, and welcome back to Rewatching Home Movies, a weekly watch-along podcast where 3 friends break down the 2001 Adult Swim animated series, Home Movies. My name is Tim, and I am obsessed with home movies.
My name's Adele, and I'm a home movies newbie.
My name is Marcin, and I've never seen home movies.
Home Movies, Season 1, Episode 12, titled Law and Boarder. Original air date October 7th, 2001 on Adult Swim. Written by Brendan Small, Bill Broaddus, and cast. Oh my gosh, real quick correction for the last 11 episodes. I just realized it is pronounced Bill Broaddus, and I've been pronouncing it like Brodus or Bradus or something like that. So that's on me. So synopsis, another nice one-sentencer. McGurk represents Brendan after a bicycle accident, and Paula gets a surprise visit. That's it.
It was kind of a surprise the entire episode. Things just kept happening, and
Yeah.
I'm surprised that it worked the way that it worked. And then you said the title right there, Law and Boarder.
Law and Boarder. So I think boarder has a couple meanings on this one. Board to like board someone, have them stay with you. But I think there was also an issue with borders themselves and people crossing borders.
Okay, that's a thinker.
Clever.
I wouldn't have. Usually I don't want to know the title. If you had told me that, I wouldn't have gotten anything from it.
Yeah, I think it's just the A-plot, B-plot. Like A-plot being the law stuff that Brendan's involved in, and then the B-plot being boarding Stephanie, a house guest, who is maybe not an ideal house guest.
She's my doodle this week.
Nice.
We'll get into all of that, but before we do, why don't we take a nice little stop into the Creative Corner, shall we? The Creative Corner is a little corner where we talk about something that we are either consuming, producing, whatever in the creative realm. Who would like to go first?
I will go first.
Okay.
So this one is something a little bit of column A, column B, creative, as well as something I'm producing. There's something that I really love doing whenever I go on TikTok, and it's whenever I get on my For You page of, hey, I made this song, or they're promoting something, and it's a small band, anything that has to do with musicians or creative projects or anything like that. I always like smaller content creators. I always like trying to listen to smaller bands. But the thing that happens a lot is I follow them, I subscribe to them, but I never get a chance to listen. It always just kind of piles up on me. The other day I was like, you know what? I'm going to go through all the artists I followed. I'm going to go through all the musicians that I found on Spotify. And I made a playlist. I went through each artist that is smaller than 50,000 followers on Spotify. I'm going to start another one on YouTube. I'm going to start another one on Bandcamp because I found a lot of different smaller artists. And the thing about it is it's all bangers. Like, I put together at least one at the least, 3 at the most of stuff from each different artist that I followed and on TikTok, or I found there's a DIY Chicago Facebook group that I'm a part of, and I asked everybody to throw in their stuff from there, and I found a lot of great bands and a lot of great musicians and some really great stuff. I think I'm going to make it public. I don't know how. It's independent chaos is what I'm calling it, but it's something I've really just been, every time I'm in a car, I don't have to look for anything. I'll just hit shuffle and I'm on it. Got like over 500 different artists.
Holy shit.
I've only made like a couple playlists in my life. This is my favorite.
That's awesome.
And every time I found a new one, it's a surprise. Like, I found some really, really great songs, like the Something Brothers, who only have like 21 listeners, and there's this song, Earthbound, that I really love it. The art's so good. And then this other girl, Natalie Carr, Wasted Potential is a song that she has that is really good. So that's my creative corner, is this playlist I'm putting together.
So is this a public playlist?
I think so, on Spotify. Yeah.
Oh, dang. Should we put it on our Linktree?
I think we can. What's the name of it again?
I made it. It's Independent Chaos.
But no, that's really awesome. And I think that's a great concept, is to make the playlist of, all these artists that you come across. I always need stuff to listen to when I'm like doing the dishes or whatever, keeping myself busy. So that's a really good idea.
Yeah. And it's so important to support small artists because they get so flooded on the internet. So to comb through it and then put a playlist to make it for other people to find them is so dope. It's such a good idea.
Yeah, and that's something I've been wanting for years. Is just like, I wish there was a playlist of smaller artists or things. So just finally putting it together. And like, at some of these artists, I didn't even like listen to their full discography before putting. I just went in there and put a random thing on there, and I'll go through back later and listen through. And honest to God, I picked them at random, and they're all really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been really fun just finding some really great, like, heartfelt, like, really from the soul type music that's really nice.
I love that shit. And there's such a good feeling, too, when you find a small artist that you just click with, and you're like, damn, I found a golden nugget amongst the turds,
Yeah, absolutely. Wasted Potential specifically, it felt like it was speaking to me.
Oh, it's such a good song title too.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I think everyone feels that way.
You'll have to send me a link to the
for sure,
to the playlist.
I'll send you both one.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I will go second. I also have, it's a kind of twofer. It's something that a friend of mine created that he actually asked me to be a little part of. So my creative corner this week is going to be a project that my friend Tony Lazowski made. This was during the pandemic. It's an animated web series on YouTube, and it's called Searching.
Oh yeah, you showed me that one. Yeah,
and it breaks my heart because it's such a passion project. The quality is so top tier, and I just know the time and effort and love he put into it, and it's so well done, and it doesn't even have a fraction of the views it deserves.
Exactly.
I would like to try to turn some people onto this. Searching the animated web series, the concept is brilliant. When you go to Google and how every letter of Google is a different color, this show represents basically Google's like autocorrect algorithm, and each one of those colors is a different character in the show. So there's like a blue and a green and a yellow, and they're all voiced by local comedians. Not only was it a passion project, but this is genuinely like the most wholesome shit I've ever heard. Tony is a very smart dude, and he's very like computer savvy. So one day his wife tells him that she would really, really love to get into voice acting. Like, it's something that she was always really, I would love to do that. And Tony's like, you know what? I'll make an animated series. You can be one of the main characters. And that's kind of how it all snowballed.
So sweet.
I think as it sits right now, there's like 7 or 8 episodes. It's a web series. I think the episodes are like 7 to 9 minutes long. Very funny, very well done. A lot of if you're familiar with like internet humor, especially like 90s internet, which is just a whole nother world. There's a lot of referential stuff in there. It's so well done and so funny. And it's just one of those things that I watch this on YouTube and I'm like, dude, this could be on Adult Swim. This could be on, you know what I mean? It could be on any of those things easily. And it's just, it's so great. And I would love if we could just get like a fresh wave of eyes on it, because I know from, being friends with the dude, I think there's 7 episodes posted. I know he has a script for an 8th episode. And I think he was just like,
It's hard. That's what I'm talking about with smaller artists and stuff. Like, sometimes it's very hard to find the motivation when no one's looking at it.
Right.
And Like, sometimes it feels selfish to be like, I want a little bit of attention, but it's like, why am I putting so much work into this thing?
Right, and you don't want to be a slave to the numbers, but at the same time, like you do, there's an equation in your head of, I'm putting X amount of time, effort, love, hours, whatever, into this project, and it's got 17 views on the internet. And, stuff like that can be very disheartening. But it's also passion projects like that kind of sit on the internet for years, and then something happens and the right people find it or whatever, and then there's this weird resurgence of it. So I'm really hoping he could find that, because at this point I'm pretty sure that show is like 3-4 years old.
Oh, yeah, because he did it during the pandemic. And it's such a shame, too, because it really is a genius concept as somebody who is chronically on the internet. Like, there's so many great nuggets that could be implemented to it, and so to just stop it, I hope he continues, because
I really do too. And the thing is, when you think of somebody who's like, oh, I'm going to learn computer animation, there's like a certain quality or maybe lack thereof that you may, okay, they're learning. Dude, this shit, like, out of the box is like TV ready fucking level of animation. Dude was posting like walk cycles that were like, it's like, dude, it's not just some guy walking stiffly like this. I mean, it's like genuine walk cycles. These people have emotions. It's so fucking well done. The best way to find it, because I truly think maybe one of the blockades behind it is the fact that it's just called searching, and it's an animation. And so a lot of the times, like on YouTube, it's searching animation. Okay. If you go on YouTube and type in searching animation, you're going to get animations of people like, what? Where's that? Look, you know what I mean? It's an animation of somebody searching for something.
Yeah.
It's very tough. So I found, I opened an incognito tab and I just typed into Google searching animation YouTube. And it took me right to the page with all the episodes. I'm going to put it in our Linktree under Friends of the Pod. I'm going to put the link in the show notes. And then I'm going to encourage everyone to Google searching animation YouTube and, check out his the page and check out the episode. Again, dude, they're like 7 to 9 minutes long.
Yeah.
They're very short.
It's very Adult Swim. It's very home movies. And I would say it's like home movies meets Inside Out a little bit. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
That's a perfect,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like you were saying, this is a whole culture of people, like generation of people who grew up on the internet, who understand this, who like this is for this generation.
Right, exactly.
These are the people that understand.
Yeah. And his wife does a voice.
His wife's one of the main voices.
Sweet. So cute.
And she does a great job.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. Searching animation YouTube. Check it out.
All right. Well, I have to be completely transparent about my creative corner because it is our first partnership. We were approached by a company, and just to be completely clear, we would never partner with any company that we didn't stand behind 100%. And this particular company is an adult toy company. So if you don't want to hear that, you're probably a prude, which is fine. You just got to admit the fact that you're a prude and just fast forward through this part.
Or you're raised Catholic and there's some shame there.
Or you got Catholic shame. Either way, you're in good company. But so, yes, I just wanted to make that clear before I jump into this creative corner. All right. So, you know what really gets my creative juices flowing, guys? You know what really stimulates the mind and encourages motivation to create things? Relaxing and blowing off steam, decompressing. And one great way to do that is to come.
Yes.
So Womanizer approached us, which is the brand. Their main mission is in woman empowerment, their sexual liberation. And it's just something that I personally have always got behind. Being an ex-Catholic, it's something that you have to repress.
Yeah.
And to come into that sexual liberation, it's a journey, and it's great. And Womanizer is there to kind of hold your hand and help you explore your own body by giving you choices. And a lot of the toys are what they call pleasure air toys, which is for clit-owning individuals. And it uses air technology to simulate oral sex. And we all know... if you own a clit, how hard it is to get off via oral sex. And this makes it easy. And you know what? They sent me a free one. I'll admit it. I tried it out. And it was great. I had a good time. So the one that they sent us was their Premium Eco, which is actually biodegradable. And it's the first biodegradable sex toy. And that's pretty fucking cool. So you can come and worry about the environment at the same time.
Can I just say, when we first got the email saying, do you want a partnership? I was very much like, can I get one too?
Well, the thing is, they just don't have sex toys just for women. It is also for if you have, a penis, if you're a person with a penis. If you want to try it with a partner, they have sex toys for you and your partner. So they have a huge array. Now, if you go on their website and you click on it, you might see Katy Perry's face. Just ignore that. She's not affiliated with them. They were just in her music video. Don't be scared. It's just Katy Perry.
That's true. Don't be scared.
Don't be scared.
It's just Catholic guilt.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I also took a scroll through to see if there's anything that I could have grabbed. And there's lots.
There's a lot.
There is. They don't care just about like one specific genitalia. It doesn't care about one specific sexuality. I was very much like, man, I really wish I got one of these. But I think Tim pointed out, like, if we got the sex toy and we gave it to the one not woman on the podcast.
Just because they are very like female empowerment, especially like sexual liberation type situation. And for everybody who has not tried an air pleasure toy, god damn it, is it a game changer. Now, if you are a very sensitive person, they have lower settings. It's going to be nice and soft, and you don't have to worry about, your clit being ripped off. But then for people like me, you can go all the way to 12. So
this one goes to 11.
It's a nice spectrum of sensitivities. And let me just preface this again. It is unlike any orgasm you will experience. I believe this is a term I've used quite often. It is a soul-ripping orgasm because it's like, it not only, not to get graphic, but it not only stimulates the tip of the clit, but the other 4 inches of clit behind it. And it's pretty crazy, and you should try it. Amen. Good night.
Yeah, and then another thing as a full disclosure is they reached out to us and they're like, hey, we want to send you this product. Just talk about it for a few minutes on the podcast. We were not contractually obligated in any way to only say positive things.
Right. They didn't pay us at all.
God, no. They're like, here, try it out and talk about it. So, yeah, I think it was a really cool opportunity for us to do it. I'm glad that we were presented with it. And thank you very much to Womanizer for partnering with us for this creative corner. All right, gang. You guys ready to jump into this episode?
Let's go.
Oh my gosh, this was a fun episode. Law and Borders. So this episode opens up. It's a little different. Right?
Yeah, it was really different.
It was like a dramatic scene, almost like a silent movie. Brendan's riding his bike through a puddle. It's raining. We see what appears to be a very rich couple buying and driving a very fancy car. It's gold. It's got a dollar sign little.
Yeah, the hood ornament.
Yeah. The guy is kind of like rubbing the dashboard, and then she puts his head. They're having a little moment.
Yeah, they're in love.
I thought it was monkey.
Monkey.
Dude, I remember in the episode Brendan gets rabies, you guys asked me if those characters come back, and I'm like, no. And then I start watching this, I'm like, oh shit, is that? And I'm like, oh no, different rich couple. Yeah. Different rich couple.
Too
We're
many.
good.
Yeah.
So
it's Florida.
The man starts rubbing his hand on the dash. The woman touches his hand. They lock eyes just long enough to hit Brendan on his bike. And dude, they hit him good.
I thought they killed him.
Yeah, same.
I was really pissed off about that, actually.
You know what I noticed this watch compared to like the a million other times I've seen it? When he hits the windshield and he starts sliding down, his eyeball is like sliding a little bit with the windshield. It's brutal.
Yeah.
When it first opened up, I thought it was one of Brendan's movies because it was so artsy. And then I was like, oh, Brendan doesn't have the budget for this.
Right. Yep. Then we cut to an ambulance coming, a police officer showing up. The rich guy is on his cell phone. Paramedic looks over Brendan with a half-open black eye, his destroyed bike. And then we have a cop taking notes. And then the final little part of that scene is we see the concerned Paula, Josie, and then a mysterious blonde woman, all kind of looking on in concern.
I thought that was the nurse, and I was like, okay. Right. The weird...
She's that dedicated as a school nurse that she's on call. And
that's what I thought. Also, did you catch on the car, it said Villain's Auto?
No.
It said Villain's Auto on there.
That's funny. So that's where they bought the car? Is Villain's Auto?
Yeah, I don't know. It just more...
Good catch. I didn't even see that.
More evidence of rich people being the villain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big facts.
Next, we are in the car. Paula's driving, and she's explaining to Brendan that the officer said he was riding on the wrong side of the road, and therefore he is technically at fault. Brendan's in multiple bandages at this point, and he yells, "Fault schmaltz." And then he's like, "Wait, where's my bike?" And she's like, "Brendan, your bike was totaled." She's even like, "Here you go, it's in my pocket." And
that part killed me.
hands him a couple, it's like a screw and a little... And Brendan's upset. He's like, "I mowed lawns for a year to get that bike." And Paula's like, "I bought you that bike for your birthday. You never mowed a lawn in your life."
That's not the point.
And I don't know if that was Brendan being funny or, I mean, I'm sure he is concussed. I mean, he got hit pretty hard.
This whole, like, your fault because you were on the wrong side of the street thing is very much like, yeah, you subscribe to Disney Plus, so we're not liable here.
Yeah. Yeah, that always drives me nuts. I mean, it makes sense to ride your bike on a certain side of the road, but, I mean, dude, even when I was a kid, the theory was like, okay, if I ride on the left side of the road, the oncoming cars can see me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can see them, whereas if I'm riding on the right side of the road, the cars are just whipping by me.
That was the rule. That was the rule given to me. You ride on the left side so you can see the cars coming.
Right.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Another reason society should be in shambles.
Plus, he's a little baby boy.
He's a little baby
Little
broken
baby.
boy.
He's a little bitty baby 8-year-old boy, and you're going to put him in court?
They also just didn't give a shit that he's just all broken body.
His poor nose.
The bandages on the nose, that gets me. Well, after Paula points out he's never mowed a lawn in his life, he says that's besides the point. He has a concussion, and he doesn't even know who she is. And I love that. He's like, "I don't even know who you are, Mom." Mom? Like, classic. But then he's like, "Oh, wait, there's actually a woman in the back seat, and I don't know who that is." Paula introduces her as her college friend, Stephanie. Now, quick side note, do you guys remember the episode Brendan was sick?
And they were talking about if you should compare your friends'
See
life.
who's winning.
Yeah,
Who's
I
winning?
should call them.
Yeah, I should call them. I think this was the result of her calling them.
Yeah.
I think she might have called Stephanie to do some catching up. Stephanie mentioned she might be in town, needs a place to stay. Or it's just a coincidence. Who knows, really?
I was wondering, because didn't she say, like, I had to pick her up from the airport?
Yeah.
And she made it sound like she had told Brendan about this. Like, they had talked about this. But yeah, that was in episode 10, School Nurse. So only 2 episodes ago. Was Paula like, "Oh, I should call them." So Steph says hi and comments about her and Paula. You know, they went to college together. They were sorority sisters. And Paula's like, "No, that was actually Isabella." Josie sneezes and Brendan's like, "I know her. She's my brother." I thought that was a funny line. Steph mentioned she just talked to Isabella. She's doing great. And then Steph brings up how they used to talk in Australian accents to fool the guys at the bar.
I was going to start this episode by speaking an Australian accent and not explaining it, but I could not. I can't. I don't know how.
Probably for the best. Probably a good idea. I think we have 3 listens in Australia. I don't want to disturb that market.
I mean, if I just say the C word, I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, that's close enough. But yeah, Paula insists again, that wasn't her. She wasn't there for that. After that, we get the opening intro. So now we got the regular like TV, music opening intro. And we cut to Brendan, Jason, and Melissa. They're having basically like a production meeting of sorts. Brendan mentions that they might encounter a setback from their barbarian slapstick project due to his unforeseen injury. Jason and Melissa are both like, "Well, we can just kind of replace you with anyone off the streets." And Brendan is very quickly to be like, "No, I mean, if we could do that, then, I'd hire him in a heartbeat, but..."
If they could do anything that I could do.
Yeah, that's not possible. Plus, I own the camera. Well, he doesn't say that, but the implication is there. He then plays the tape of what they have so far, and it's essentially about 20 seconds of the 3 of them hitting each other with plastic bats.
And then Melissa coming in every time. just starts whipping, kills me. She's winding up, too, to come through.
Yeah, and just like the console, like, ow, 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 ow. Brendan says they have some work to do, and Melissa brings up a good point. They should maybe write some jokes, so they're not just relying on the violent. Jason doesn't seem convinced, but Brendan agrees. He tells him, "You know what? Pen's out. We can write some jokes." and he's getting pretty excited. I don't know if the two of you have ever been in a group setting that is required to try to write jokes.
Yep.
I've done that with comedians, and it's such a fucking pain in the ass.
I've enjoyed it, but maybe it's because I've been with like funnier people, or funnier to me at least. But I feel like in comedians, everybody wants to put their own.
And I feel
spin
like with
on it.
comedians, there's a lot of ego getting in the way.
Yeah. I enjoy sitting it around and going, okay, what do we got here? And like we all just throw something into the front. But usually it's because we don't have big egos. So
Jason brings up that, okay, well, we're both barbarians, so I could approach Brendan and say, I'd like to ask you a question. Hmm?
and
Classic.
at this point, I wrote Jason is on to something with comedy.
This is where it all starts, guys.
It gets a couple
Gonna
laughs,
love him.
but then Jason just keeps going with the bit.
And that's when I wrote down, never mind.
Oopsie, JK, LOL. Brett and Melissa lose interest pretty quickly. That's when Melissa points out they don't even have axes. They have clubs. So like a more apt joke would be something about you want to go to that new club. So the following scene, we have wine being poured into a glass. Stephanie is talking about how she's more spiritual now. Now, might be just like one-off line, kind of, oh yeah, I'm spiritual now. Dude, this comes back huge in a later episode.
Does it?
Oh my God. I
Wait
think
a
we get
second.
I already
Stephanie.
know.
I think we get Stephanie 3 episodes in the entire series.
Oh my God.
Exciting. I'm
Really?
excited. I'm excited to see her.
She's got an arc.
Yeah.
The thing is, I really like Stephanie as a character,
Really?
which is annoying.
It is wild because this one is probably my least favorite Stephanie episode.
Interesting. The first introduction we have of her is just like this weird villain, like just in the background, like she's a
Right.
psychological killer. And then I see her in the rearview mirror, barely in the background.
Just her knees.
And then he's like, wait a second, who's that? Because I was like, oh my God, who's that? Is this a David Lynch film? Like,
Yeah, Brendan is that concussed that he's just now seeing a character who's not even there. Like, who's this lady?
We'll get into like when it actually comes up, but there was a part in this episode where I was like, "Oh, I hate Stephanie."
oh, I think I know which part it was. I saw you lean forward and you're like, wait a second.
I was like, "Oh my god! If I had a friend like this, we would no longer be friends."
Well, I feel like this is the beginning of Stephanie's arc, and this is the we're going through it
Yeah.
stage.
Absolutely.
Paula asks Stephanie how her husband Richard is doing. I mean, I picked up right away that Stephanie was like visibly distraught. She's like, he's busy. He's doing everything. Busy as a bee. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Stephanie tries to change the subject. And Paula, again, is like, I don't think I've seen Richard since your wedding. And Stephanie just kind of ignores it. And she's like, you know what? We should go out. Let's go dancing. Like, I want to dance. Good luck convincing Paula.
You're coming, right? You're coming.
Josie is sick. Brendan had the accident.
No, but you're coming, though.
Oh my god, she was peer pressuring her so much, and it was giving me so much anxiety. I hate that shit so much.
I wrote down specifically the line, how often do you see me? And how often do you see your kids? Exactly. You see them all the time. Let's go.
Honest to God, though, sound logic. How often do you see your kids? Every day? Crazy. Where am I doing? I'm sitting right in front of you.
That's fair, but like,
Sure, but-
respect somebody.
but-
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Current circumstances are, hey, my kid just got hit by a car. My other kid is sick.
Yeah.
I'm now juggling 3 children, essentially, because you're here.
Also, sound logic. I'm just saying, there's some nuance in this situation.
Paula tells her, hey, have fun. Don't dance too much. And that's that. So now we go back to the basement. And Brendan, Jason, Melissa are continuing their production meeting. At this point, I don't know if you noticed, there's like crumpled up paper like all over the table, which tells me that they've been writing and ideas are just not there. Jason starts his pitch about how they're barbarians, so he could approach Brendan and say something like, you're acting very barbaric right now. Okay, all right, yeah, they give it like a yeah, okay. And then again, Jason just... You're acting, how could you be such a barbarian? You're acting barbaric. And it just goes on too long. Melissa even tells him, like, you need to learn when to stop. It's like your jokes aren't bad. They're starting off very strong, but the more you do it, it's just not funny anymore. And then Jason's comment, dude, I swear I know people with this mentality, is like, no. It comes back around.
I wrote that down. It comes back around.
Sometimes it does. But I will say more often than not, it does not come back around. So Jason makes a comment about Melissa being very critical for someone who's not contributing to the jokes.
Ooh.
And Melissa fires back and says that her criticism is her contribution.
Do they like low-key not like each other?
I don't think they do.
Because to me, they fight a lot, and it feels like they're only there because they have the mutual friendship in Brendan. Because they fight in so many episodes.
They do.
It definitely seems like Brendan is the common denominator in their relationship.
Yeah.
I do feel like as the show goes on, like any friend group, they become friends too.
I mean, let's talk about the real common denominator here. Jason not being funny. Because he's the one that causes the fights every time. You're the director, Jason. And then he's like, Melissa, you suck. You're fired. It's like, Melissa's being real.
You think Jason is just...
He's the instigator.
Yeah.
Every time.
He's lashing out because of his own insecurities about his lack of...
100%, but also at the same time, and I do not want to agree with Jason, but don't offer a problem if you're not going to offer a solution. I can understand a criticism of something.
I do understand that, but I think Melissa's point is I think that criticism can be contribution sometimes.
No, 100%.
And, maybe she doesn't have the ability to throw the jokes out there, but she, I think, does have the ability to be like, this is where we stop.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I think she's 100% right in this situation. I also know that checking a YouTube comment section, sometimes just criticism for sake of criticism doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I can see where they're both coming from. So this causes them to get into a fight. Yet another situation, Brendan has to be kind of the mediator between Jason and Melissa. Visibly uncomfortable, I think at the end he said, well, this is tough, and I think I hate doing this.
I feel like you've felt that before when there were fights during certain projects that you were working.
Specifically home movies, I've looked at this, especially when in the basement, sitting at a table, coming up with jokes. I love that process. I find that very fun to do. Mm-hmm. But when one thing gets stuck and everyone has to stick on that one thing, it's like, oh, this is hell. This is the bad place.
I don't want to do this anymore.
Oh, you know what? I forgot to mention Stephanie is voiced by Kelly Kimball. I looked up her IMDb. She has like one writing credit and then the 3 voice credits for Stephanie. I really didn't see much of anything else. I don't think she's like an actress or anything like that.
I wonder how they found her then. If she just was like knew somebody who was working on it.
Craigslist.
My guess would be maybe a comedian, or in the like sphere of comedians, they seem to pull a lot of comics for voice stuff. So
Did they just pull any of their like friends?
Well, Eugene Merman and Brendan Small were roommates, and Eugene does the voice of Eugene.
Oh, that's fair.
He is in more episodes.
Oh, is Eugene coming back?
Yeah. Eric, Melissa's dad, is voiced by Jonathan Katz, who did the voice of Dr. Katz in the show Dr. Katz, where there's a lot of overlap. Yeah, I think they get a lot of their friends.
I mean, usually those people are in the industry, but sometimes with this one, just one writing credit, and then she did kind of fell off the face.
Yeah, maybe she just did a lot of comedy stuff that wasn't particularly credited on IMDb.
Oh, that's fair.
Who's to say? But I just wanted to put that out there. Kelly Kimball, and it's Kimball. I don't know if that's Kimball or Kimball. I'm like so in my head about pronouncing names now.
Now that you got the one comment.
Right, which is so funny because my actual last name, there are 2 pronunciations that I'm like, yeah, that's fine. And then even when people mispronounce it, I'm like, yeah, it's a tough name. So the next scene, we see Paula, and she is woken up in the middle of the night by the sounds of Stephanie and a mysterious man. I think Stephanie is like, I want to find where she keeps the liquor.
Was anyone scared of the red eyeballs?
Well, he was definitely drunk. I don't know, maybe they were smoking a little too.
A little weed.
I wrote, they look cranked.
Cranked.
So yeah, they show them. He tells her to do that Australian accent again.
Mate, kangaroo.
Boomerang.
He's even like, oh yeah. So at this point, Paula turns on the lights. She's holding Josie, and I mean, they're visibly upset. It's 1:30 in the morning. She said, you guys woke the baby, so could we just please call it a night? They drunkenly agree. Brendan comes down at that point. Stephanie apologizes for waking up. I don't know why, but she's like, oh, little bee. I'm like, Shut up. You can't call him B. That's not
right.
your... I don't know.
You don't know him like that.
Yeah.
Her lipstick smeared.
Yeah.
Wasn't he like, who the hell are you?
Yeah, who the hell is this guy? And I love it. And she's like, oh, little B, we woke you up. And he's like, no, actually it was the smell of whiskey and cheap cologne. And the guy's like, little finger gun. At this point, the man, he gives him the little smile and the finger gun. And Paula's like, all right, that's it. Everybody go to bed. They cut over to, it's Paula and Brendan, and they're sitting at the kitchen table, and we hear drunk Stephanie and the trumpet guy still in the other room. And Brendan asks if he's that loud when he sleeps. So she tells Brendan to learn a lesson from this night, and if he ever is a house guest, to not bring home a strange man. And he hits her with the, I can't make any promises. And then she made a comment about how she does not remember Stephanie being so gregarious. And Brendan even says, like, do you mean like in the hips? But gregarious is just somebody who is like, social and enjoys company. So I think she's just a little confused that she would, one, want to go out to a bar, but then two, bring a strange man home. And we'll get into more of that in the scene after this one. But we have a very quick scene where we see Brendan, Jason, and Melissa, and they're doing their slapstick barbarian movie where they're just hitting each other with plastic bats. But also in the scene,
a gnome.
I pointed to it.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't think I would have caught it if you didn't point to it.
It's weird because it takes up most of the screen in that shot.
Yeah, it's like blocking the whole...
I didn't even register in my head until Marcin jumped out of his seat.
Well, I saw Melissa coming winding up, and I was like,
the gnome! So the next scene, now we go back to Paula. She's putting dishes away. Stephanie sheepishly walks in, and she asks if she can help. And Paula agrees as she's putting some dishes away. Stephanie's like, ow, I'm sleepy.
Sweepy.
Mm-hmm.
And Paula's like, yeah, I think we need to talk about last night. You brought this guy home, kind of made me uncomfortable exposing your children to strange drunk men like that. Stephanie does seem very apologetic at first, saying, hey, I had a couple too many drinks. It's not going to happen again. I messed up. And then Paula is like, but besides that, this puts me in kind of a weird position. And Stephanie at first is just kind of like, oh, and she's like, well, what if your husband would have called and, you have this strange man over? And Stephanie like immediately gets very defensive.
Oh, yeah.
She like straight up tells Paula, like, you're about to cross a line here.
Over the 3 lines that she's already crossed.
Yeah.
Right.
Audacity.
It really is like, damn. But at the same time, I don't understand why Paula's not putting this together. Like, hey, this is my friend. She's being very erratic. She's going out drinking. She's bringing a guy home. I go, yeah, maybe she's looking at like, oh, yeah, she's just away from her husband trying to have a little fun. But at that point, I would be like, all right, dude. And I think the next time she does talk to her, she's like, what's going on? What's happening here? But as they're having this conversation, the doorbell rings. So Paula answers the door. It is a police officer voiced by... Did you not notice?
No,
I
not
had
at
no
all.
idea.
Mitch Hedberg.
What?
Yeah, Mitch Hedberg's the cop.
Oh, shit.
Yes.
You didn't clock it. It was probably because the lisp threw you off.
No, because he said racketeering, and I was going, what's racketeering?
Racketeering. Yeah, Mitch Hedberg was the voice of the cop.
I didn't clock that. Oh, my God. That makes me so upset.
Shame.
He informs Paula he has a summons for Brendan to appear in court. When she asks why, he says racketeering before correcting himself and saying, oh, I mean, causing a car accident on your bike. When Paula is like, he has to go to court for that, the cop is like, did I stutter? And Paula's like, no, but I think I did hear a little bit of a lisp. And that's when he pulls out his handcuffs and says, don't make me arrest you.
Arrest.
I wrote like a true cop.
Staying on brand.
It appears to be the following morning. Brendan is very sleepy at the table. Paula is frustrated because she has to take Josie to the doctor and then somehow get Brendan to court. Brendan is like, it's fine if I don't go to court. you don't have to take me. But Paula's like, no, you have to go. Otherwise, they're going to throw you in jail. But more importantly, it'll make her look bad. Brendan says, well, let him throw me in jail. And then he starts listing all the semi-jail related movies that he's seen.
Including Goodfellas.
Yeah. Brendan is very upset that he even has to go to court, saying he already learned his lesson and, plays the I'm just a child card.
just a baby.
I'm just a baby. I can pay you in blocks.
I don't got any money.
Paula says she's going to have to find him a ride to court, and Stephanie pokes her head in and says she can give Brendan a ride to court after soccer practice. Brendan's like super annoyed, and then Paula's like very appreciative. She's like, hey, thank you very much, Steph. And Brendan's like, yeah, whoop-de-doo, Steph. Thanks a bunch.
Got her.
She's a bit cautious about it, too. He's like, yeah, thanks, Steph.
Yeah. Well, she's probably cautious about it because in the next scene, we see Brendan sitting on a soccer ball. Coach approaches him and he's like, what are you doing? Practice is over. Go home. And Brendan is like, yeah, I'm waiting for my ride. And the coach is like, all right, Brendan, what's really going on? Because he asks him, are you thinking about running away? And Brendan says no. And the coach is like, because you should.
It builds character.
And then I love that he said he ran away when he was 8. He had a dream of working on an oil rig. So he pointed himself into the direction of Alaska and just started running.
Makes sense. Sound logic.
Yep. And
You'll make it there.
Brendan is like, how far did you get? And he said, to the pizza place. But then I got a job there, and the Greek guy who owned it pretty much raised me. He proceeds to tell a story about introducing his old family to his new Greek family and how they had a party. So
It's kind of wholesome.
yeah, it really is.
So you think they had a party because they thought their son was missing for years, or?
Oh.
Maybe.
That's very funny. How far away is the pizza place?
Yeah, right? Probably down the street.
Yeah, right.
So the next scene, we have Stephanie on the phone with Richard, and I think we're going to play that right now.
That's a good clip.
So here we
Rich.
go.
Look, Richard, we have been going over this for over a month. It is my couch.
No, it's not.
Richard, I bought the couch.
No, you didn't buy the couch. I bought
Okay,
the
but
couch.
I picked it out, Richard.
No, you did not pick it. I picked out the couch.
I picked out the red
Stephanie,
couch.
you didn't have anything to do with this couch.
Okay, but I said it was my idea to go shopping.
Okay, it was your idea to go shopping.
Exactly, thank you.
You're not getting any of the couch, so get used to not having that couch.
I am
okay?
getting half that couch.
You know, maybe I should have gotten you to sign a prenuptial agreement. Because this
Excuse
is,
me?
Yeah, you heard me right.
Maybe
yeah.
I should have gotten you to sign a
You're in an
prenuptial
emotional
agreement.
state right now. I can't even listen to you.
I have every right to be in an emotional state. You have made me this way.
Oh yeah, everything's my fault.
That's right.
You know what? I'm sitting on the couch right now and I'm loving it.
It's my couch.
I'm sitting on the couch, I'm laying on it.
Richard!
Yeah, it's a good couch. I got my shoes on the couch. What do you think about that? They're on there and you're gone.
That's for your couch and your stupid car and your golf clubs and your facial steamer and your deodorizer, your water pick, your mother's stupid vagina.
That's what I'm saying. You get yourself
That's such a good scene. Her form when she does your mother stupid China.
Yeah.
That's good form.
That was definitely the scene that made me hate her.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. You're going to break someone else's plates, dude?
Oh, that's true.
Unforgivable.
The first time she said, your mother's vagina. That's what I thought I heard.
Oh,
your
my
mother's
God.
vagina. I'm like, whoa.
Damn.
Damn.
Get your mother's vagina out.
No, it's your mother's stupid China.
Oh my god. No, could you imagine inviting someone into your home? Not that she's already done like
Yeah.
unforgivable shit, but you come home and your kitchen floor is covered in your plates. You have
Yeah.
no plates left.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
See,
Get out.
I have nightmares of like being that house guest, like someone has like possessed my body and made me do something, and I can't explain it. So yeah, I can understand that. I can also be very understandable of why you would be pissed.
Yeah.
That's a terrible house guest.
Next time you crash here, we wake up and our plates are just shattered all over the kitchen.
Real quick, Richard is voiced by Will Lebo, who does a lot of just like random voices on home movies. He was Melissa's grandfather, and he's done some other ones. So, yeah, Will Lebo is the voice of Richard. Dude, when he's like, yeah, I'm sitting on that couch right now.
Shoes on it.
Richard, no!
You're not here.
That shit got me.
Oh, I wrote that down. That's probably my favorite line of the episode.
So we cut back to Coach talking to Brendan after soccer practice. Coach is telling Brendan, maybe you should get a pet. Coach says, I have a fish. It keeps me responsible. He calls it a responsibility tester. Says he's been through 1,000 fish. They all died, but you just buy another one. So at this point, finally, Brandon is like, hey, you got a car, right? Finally just asks him, like, just give me a ride to court. The next scene, we're in court.
Wait, did you notice that when he's sitting on the ground, he was in... It's probably just reusing the animation, but he's in a meditative... He goes like this before he...
Oh, like Eric did?
Yeah,
Like Eric taught him?
I would like to think he continued the practice of meditating after Eric taught him how. Because, I mean, obviously in this screenshot right here, his hands aren't like it, but before they were in the little
They were in the pose.
Mantra pose. So, We love a meditating king.
Yeah. You know what? And with the next episode, yeah, maybe Coach has been meditating a little bit.
Yeah, we love it.
Who's to say?
He's got a fish.
But this scene, we're in court, and the judge is really grilling Brendan. He's telling him, you rode down the wrong side of the road into oncoming traffic. And he asked him what he was thinking. And Brendan's like, nothing. Before quickly correcting himself and saying, well, actually, no, I was trying to think of the guy who played Tron in the movie Tron. Now, I don't know if you remember, but the director's cut episode where they did the Franz Kafka rock opera, they wanted to do a Tron rock opera, but they just couldn't get the rights to it.
That's right.
So obviously, someone involved in this show is pretty obsessed with Tron. The judge reminds Brendan that he broke the law and caused an accident, therefore he needs to be punished. Brendan asks if the judge is serious, and the judge says yes. Brendan said that it's absurd. That's when Coach starts up and he says, what I think my client is trying to say. So we do have they do this a lot, self-admittedly, in the commentary, pull back to reveal. So you think it's just Brendan sitting there in front of the judge, we pull back. No, McGurk is right next to him. And when McGurk was like, well, what my client is trying to say, Brendan and Coach have like a real quick, like, I told you can come in, but I told you couldn't say anything. Like, you know, and Coach is like, no, I got this. Don't worry. The judge asks, like, have I seen you in court before? And McGurk is like, yes, many times. But that's not important. What is important is that my mentally challenged nephew is innocent.
He did not say mentally challenged.
No.
Not. I edited that. He said a 90s word.
Yeah, he sure did.
Tubular.
Yeah.
My tubular nephew here.
Yeah.
Does he say nephew? Where did nephew come from?
Yeah, he did say nephew,
Oh, okay,
which was
good.
like out of nowhere.
They kind of look alike a little bit.
Yeah, they both got red hair.
Yeah. And then Coach is like, yeah, on the day of the accident, Brendan was suffering from a severe bout of mentally challenged stuff. That is the quote of what he did say. But yeah, he did say the R word. We will not
Radical.
repeat it. Yeah. the R word from the 90s. Radical, dude. Brendan asks what he is doing, and the coach admits he's going for a mistrial. He also, I think, mentions that he had dementia, and I think that's where he's like, which he got from me.
Passed down from me.
The judge is very confused. The judge is like, what are you trying to say? And coach is like, well, I'm saying that Brendan got hit by a car, and it was his fault.
Smooth.
So basically, there was 0 point to the coach being there at all. The judge points out that they're not deciding faults. Now they're figuring out the appropriate punishment. May I suggest a little spanking on his, I think he says on his bum bum? It gives him a little wink before the judge is like, okay, that's it. He tells him one more word, you're in contempt of court. The judge continues talking to Brendan, and then the coach is like, Bruce Boxleitner. And they're like, what? And he's like, the guy from Tron.
And then Brendan's like, oh, I knew it.
At that point, the judge just loses it. He tells Brendan, you have to write an essay detailing exactly why what you did was illegal. And Brendan is obviously not happy about this. And then the judge says, if it's good enough, I might let you off the hook. Coach calls the court, like, I think he called it a mockery or something. And then the judge is like, and you're going to write an essay as well. And McGurk was not very happy about that. Of course we knew Brendan was going to make a video essay, obviously. Like, he did that for his speech in speech class. So he's standing at a podium, American flag behind him. Melissa is dressed up as Lady Justice. He explained to the judge in the video that he's doing the video because his handwriting sucks and nobody should have to deal with his spelling and grammar.
I feel that.
And then is like, anyway, here's my punishment, and I hope you like it. So we cut to Jason and Melissa, and they're playing the rich couple. Melissa's character says she loves the car, and Jason's character says, I love you. And Melissa's like, let's go run over some children.
We should run over some children.
And then Jason agrees, and he's like, let's see what this baby can do. So we see Brendan riding his bike, talking about how much he loves his mom and his country and the judicial system. Typical, 8th grade monologue.
He's got an American flag on the back of his bike.
Yeah. Jason's character comes running in with a car and just rams into him repeatedly. I love he's like... So we cut from this, and now we go over to Paula, and she's standing in the kitchen full of dishes. At this point, she's kind of over all this shit with Stephanie.
She's still very patient, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But she is lecturing her, and she's like, you come into my house, you break my dishes, you bring home a strange man, you don't pick up Brendan. Basically winning the award for the absolute worst house guest ever. Paula is not as much concerned with putting blame on Stephanie, but she wants transparency. She wants to know what's going on. And Stephanie kind of breaks down. She's like, I'm a screw up. Is that what you want to hear? And Paula's like, no.
Yeah.
And then she keeps, do you want to hear that I'm this and I'm this? And Paul's like, no, maybe, no. And it gets to a point where like Stephanie is just listing all the things. I mean, you can kind of tell she's listing all the things that her and Richard have like fought about. And even ending it with like, and he doesn't even like my lasagna. We go back to the apology essay. Jason and Melissa's character are standing above Brendan. Melissa asks if he's still alive, and Jason says yes. So go to the trunk and get Daddy the bat.
I wrote that down.
Yeah, you were like, oh, I don't remember that time.
No, I did not pick up on that. I would have.
Go get Daddy the bat.
Go get Daddy the bat.
So they can, quote, finish him off. They start hitting Brendan with the bats, and he keeps saying not so hard, and Jason's like, well, I'm trying to kill him. And so that's when Brendan jumps up and he's like, that's it. And he grabs the other bat. And now we're just back at our slapstick comedy. We cut back one more time to Paula and Stephanie. Paula admits that she just wishes Stephanie would have told her about the divorce. You know, maybe Paula would have had a little more perspective that way. Stephanie does apologize and says she needs to get out of town because the stress was killing her. She blames Richard for her acting like an ass. Paula says it doesn't matter who's at fault and that her options are to stand around and cry and make everyone else's lives harder or to move on.
When she said the first choice, I was like, that one.
What, fetal position? Let's go. She tells Stephanie she's not a victim. And she's like, say it with me. And Stephanie's like, I'm not. And she's like, no, say it with me. And then even is like, 1, 2, 3. I'm not a victim.
Nice.
Now, after that, we have the end of Brendan's video essay because we go right from Stephanie saying that she's not a victim. And then we go to Brendan's video essay that starts like this.
I am a victim, not them. They were encased in steel. I only had my flesh encasement of flesh. They should have to write essays. They should be punished. Hit it, boys!
Yes.
Dwayne's back!
We love Dwayne.
I've seen enough of this.
Womp womp. Did I mention? I don't think I did. But the judge is voiced by the main writer, Bill Broadus. Bill does a lot of... I think Bill and Will Lebo both do a lot of just random character. Like you're talking like the director from the acting class, the student that Paula makes out with. They do a lot of those voices. Huh. The judge stops the video stating, okay, I've seen enough. I just realized this. So when we first start showing Brendan's apology video, we're going from the video of them, right? And then we're cutting to Paula and Stephanie talking, right? Back to the video of them, back to Paula and Stephanie talking. Now we're at the last part of the video and the judge pauses it and says, I've seen enough. We pull back. Paula's in court with Brendan, and she's like embarrassed. So maybe it was just a different time thing they were intercutting. But the way it was cut, it seemed like Paula was talking to Stephanie while they were watching the court apology. And then once he stops the tape, Paula's in court.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just like a silly... I don't even really want to call it a continuity thing. I just realized it as I'm like going chronologically through the... But
nice little misdirection there.
Yeah. So anyway, Paula seems embarrassed. The judge says he's very disappointed.
And he looks like a Muppet.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. It shows the rich couple, and they look smug as shit. They even have like a fancy like lawyer. So basically, I think that at this point, they're like, oh, okay, sweet. This kid fucked up. They're going to be held fully accountable. They're going to have to pay off all the damages. They're pretty much like, all right, cool. None of this is going to impact us financially.
Smug
We're
like
good.
every rich person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's bleed this 8-year-old for all that he's worth.
The one that we hit, while we should have been looking at the road, I'm still so pissed about it.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
It's bullshit. It really is. The judge is telling Brendan, you made a mockery of the court. You have to be punished. He orders him to 4 months community service on the weekends. Brendan is upset. The judge then informs that the couple has an estimate for the damages done to their car. I like this little silly bit where the paperwork gets handed off between like the lawyer, the judge, the Smalls, like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then the judge finally like, give me that. And then gives it right back to Paula.
Yeah.
We all looked at each other when they said the estimate was $900.
Yeah.
$900.
Their
The
car
car-
was
Totaled. The airbag deployed. Only $900.
Made of solid gold.
yeah.
$900.
Damn.
But in 2001, that's $900, and they're very upset about it. She tells Brendan she's very upset. Brendan is going to have to help with that. So at this point, Brendan's like, okay, you know what? I'll do the community service. Mom, I'll help you pay off the car repairs. But he tells the judge straight up, I assure you that I did not learn a thing. He said, I learned absolutely nothing from this entire thing.
And I agree with him.
Yeah. Other than rich people get away with
Everything.
fucking
Yeah.
almost murder.
They probably paid more for their lawyer
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
for
yeah.
than
sure.
the car was going to cost them.
No, I stand on business with Brendan.
Yeah.
Yeah. He says, I didn't learn a thing. Good day. And when the judge interrupts, Brendan
I said good
says,
day.
I believe I said good day.
Got him. Can't argue with that.
Hit him with a ligma.
The next scene, Stephanie's leaving the Smalls, and she's telling Paula, we need to get together soon with Isabella. Then Stephanie, again, does the Australian accent. And I think that Paula's kind of at her wit's end with it. She very flatly is like, yeah, I never did that with you guys, remember? At this point, Stephanie, I think, does kind of shift into a more sincere tone. She does thank Paula for everything. She admits she's got a lot of things to figure out with her life. Her cab pulls up. She said, that's my ride. And as she is getting in, the trumpet guy wanders out of Paula's house shirtless. And Paula's like, Stephanie, you forgot your, She comments to him that he's been there the entire time. So the very last scene, we got Coach McGurk walking into his apartment, calling for his goldfish, Sammy. I like this. He's like, who's hungry? I am. And I'm going to eat in front of you.
Did you catch the street signs where he lives?
It's Lonely and Brew.
Yeah, lonely and brew.
Yes. I believe that was pointed out when the,
With the nurse
nurse
episode, yeah.
takes him home. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot.
He's on the
about that.
corner of Lonely and Brew. Yeah, probably because it was so fucking cringe. You blocked it out.
That's true, and I also remember he got a new apartment, but it was actually his old apartment.
Exactly.
Right.
Triple rent.
What a guy.
He says, yeah, I'm going to eat in front of you while you just lay there.
Sammy.
This was a very sad end for me.
Dude, it really was. Sammy's belly up. Dude, he's tapping on the bowl, yelling, like, are you sleeping? You're just sleeping, right?
There's a picture of him and Sammy
Dude,
right next
yes.
With
to him.
hearts all around it.
It's
Yeah.
framed, and the frame has hearts on it.
Poor Sammy.
When he was going to move out of his place, he had Sammy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is very heartbreaking. Like, that's why I've never gotten another fish. Got a huge aquarium at one point, like early days, like 10 years ago. Cleaned it out, had a lot of fish in there, and I had this one fish in there. His name was Yakamata.
Did he eat all the other fish?
No, but he did pass away, and it was so heartbreaking. He was a koi fish, and the PetSmart employee told me that I could keep him in an aquarium and not a pond.
Oh,
That's
no.
fundamentally not true.
Yeah,
He lied to you.
he did lie to me, and I paid $50 for
Get
that
out of
fish.
here.
Yeah, and he lasted long enough for me to form a connection.
Oh my god.
It was very
We're
upsetting.
gonna have an in memoriam for Sammy and for your old koi fish.
Yakamata.
They do this gag, I guess you could call it, where Coach is upset, Sammy is belly up. The scene fades out, and then it fades back in with the sound of a toilet flushing. McGurk walks out of the bathroom, but he's holding Sammy and the picture of them together. So I think the joke is you think he's flushing Sammy, But he was just going to the bathroom?
Yeah.
So then he walks out and he's like, okay, well, what am I going to do with you, Sammy? He's like, maybe I'll bury you in the backyard. Not really sure what to do with like a dead fish. The scene fades out again and then fades back in with a flushing sound. And then McGurk walks out of the bathroom again, still holding Sammy.
Didn't he say earlier in the episode that he's been through a lot of fish? So wouldn't he know what to do with a dead fish?
You would think so.
And was the fish in the moving episode Sammy, or was one of his past
one
fish?
of his other fish? That's a good question.
It's always named Sammy.
Yeah, Sammy. We did that with one of our fish. Our beta fish was Butch 1, Butch 2, Butch 3.
Oh, that's terrifying.
This was Sammy 1000.
What if you?
It wasn't
what if
my
you,
choice.
What if you were named Adele 30?
Duh, my parents would have some explaining to do. Hell 30 I am.
I am,
that's
thank
true.
you. At this point, McGurk is like, okay, maybe I'll get a little box, trying to figure it out, and that's when the doorbell rings. He opens the door, and the officer asks for John McGurk, and he's like, no, McGurk lives next door. I'm John McGurk. And the cop is like, okay, you got to come with me. And the coach is like, why? And he says, murder one.
As he's holding the dead fish.
Yeah. But then quickly corrects himself and says, oh, apparently you failed to turn in an essay that was due earlier today. And the coach said, I thought the judge was kidding. And the cop's like, afraid not. And then starts cuffing him. Coach, in the process of getting cuffed, drops Sammy.
Sammy!
That was such a sad end for
Yeah.
no reason.
The credits
really
start
was.
rolling as he's crying over Sammy's dead body.
McGurk is so sad.
And
I feel so bad for him.
Yeah.
And that's the end of season 1, episode 12, Law and Boarder.
Yep.
Let's
Huge.
go.
Show.
Let's go into ratings.
Yeah, let's do it. I forgot my note.
Let's start with Jason's rating.
You want to start with Jason's rating?
Yeah, and then we'll give our overall rating.
Okay. Jason, he didn't do anything terrible except be kind of annoying to deal with.
Yeah.
Just that one stubborn friend who is clearly just
Not reading the room.
not reading the room, doesn't care about anyone else's feelings about himself. Like, I still found him annoying. But I could put up with him. But at the same time, he didn't do anything good.
Right.
He didn't do anything that was like super redeeming. So I gave him a B minus.
Hey, that's pretty good.
It's not good. A B minus. Like, if we're looking at it through the way that America looks at its education system, right?
Yikes.
Everything above an F or D is succeeding, right? But
Yeah.
you still got some marks off. You're just average. He did all right.
No, I
Yeah.
think B- is really good.
Yeah, I thought that was a really... I was
I think
expecting you to
that's-
say C-, to be honest.
No, I think B- is a good grade, and I get it.
He didn't really do anything terrible. He
Jason was
didn't-
very hands-off this episode.
Yeah. The best part of the episode with him is when he looked, he's like, go get me at the bat.
Yeah, that did
Go
give
get
him
daddy
some
at the
points.
bat.
Yeah.
Go get daddy
I
at the bat.
loved him in Brendan's apology video. I think the only thing Jason was really guilty of this episode was not knowing when to end the joke.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't think he was gross once.
Yeah, no, he wasn't. And Melissa and Jason did a nice belly bump.
They
That
did.
was funny.
That was
They
so
did.
fun. I enjoyed him trying to beat up Dwayne, and Dwayne just holding him back. Very
We
nice.
love Dwayne. I love Dwayne.
Yes, one of my faves.
Yeah.
Okay, so B- for Jason. Do we want to give the episode an overall grade?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right, thank you for listening to Rewatching Home Movies.
I really liked this episode. Like, I
Yeah.
genuinely liked both the A plot and the B plot.
Mm-hmm.
Every time we went back and forth, it was, like, enjoyable on both fronts. I really liked Stephanie as a character. I really liked McGurk in court. I found that, even though he did say the radical word, it was a very fun episode for me. A+.
Ooh.
This is probably
Nice.
my favorite episode.
your first A+.
This is my first A+. I really liked this
Dang.
episode.
Wow.
It was really fun.
Heck yeah.
Nice. I'm excited for the next episode.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna give it a solid A.
Solid A.
Yeah.
Okay, not
It was
bad.
really good, really funny. Dwayne obviously makes the episode every time. So yeah, A for me.
When Dwayne showed up, I involuntarily put 2 devil horns up.
Yeah.
I was like, Dwayne!
Yes, we were very excited when we saw Dwayne. I really like this episode too. Had the 90s R word radical.
Yeah.
I really like this episode. I don't think it's A+ territory. I'm giving it an A-.
Interesting.
Our ratings were higher than Tim's.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's a
this is
first.
interesting.
2 firsts in one episode.
God, I just want to know if there's ever going to be an F episode.
No. But at least 3 S's that I can think of, at least.
3 S's. Finale episode, bonus episode, whatever. I'm going to make you do a tier list of every episode.
Trust me, I'm always thinking of additional content besides what we're doing right now. So I've actually mentioned this to Adele too. Like if we ever need mini episodes, I think it would be really cool is if each mini episode, we pick one of our creative corners and then do a mini deep dive into our creative corner.
Oh, that sounds really fun.
That gives you guys an opportunity to be the
expert.
I don't like calling myself an expert.
I'll call you an expert.
I've already been corrected on one thing. I'm sure there will be more, and
the point of
I'm
an
obsessed.
expert.
I'm obsessed.
The point of being an expert isn't to be right on everything, but to want to learn more.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. All right. I think that's going to do it for this episode. Let's go ahead and do plugs. All right, Adele, why don't you go first?
I have an Instagram, and it is called Artisanal of Oddity. That is, art is anal of oddity. And then I also have a TikTok, which is Elida Alora 1111, ELEDA. And then it's a ALORA 1111.
Make a wish. I got a bunch of plugs as usual. My plugs are a bunch of podcasts that I've also done. Puzzle Valley, which I already finished. It's a miniseries from my podcast, Eldric Journeys. It's a high school teen detective story. I put a lot of work into it. I love it so much. Put my heart and soul into it. And I'm also working on the sequel, Puzzle Valley 2000, which is set in the year 2000. It's like a prequel. Adele, you are a part of it.
It's true.
And we're having a great time doing it. Soundtrack is already on its way. I've got a lot of work to do with that. I'm also working on Season of the Curse 2 with my YouTube brother-in-arms, Punkin Nonstop, who has a YouTube channel as well, Punkin Nonstop. He's got thousands of videos on there, so go check him out. That is not hyperbolic at all. And we're working on Season of the Curse 2, which is a really, really fun project that everyone in this room is working on, Tim and Adele.
Hell yeah.
That will be coming together soon. I'm actually hoping to have it done by the finale of this podcast, because I think that would coincide with Season of the Curse 2, which is an homage to home movies and is itself a home movie, so I think it would fit just right in. And I'm also working on another feature film called The Doorman, which I've been working on since 2016. It's a marathon, not a sprint, so I'm working slowly but surely. I think that... Oh, I just dropped the Eldric Journeys trailer I've been sitting on for a while, so I'll put that in the show notes as well. The Eldric Journeys trailer's on my channel, Splat House Ideas.
Nice.
And that's all my plugs.
Hell yeah.
Nice. And as always, this podcast is brought to you by the Happy Corner Podcast. They were nice enough to donate our audio equipment so we could keep this podcast going. So we'd like to give them a nice little plug at the end. The Happy Corner Podcast streams every Sunday at 1:45 Central Time on Twitch. You can find them on YouTube and audio versions wherever you get your podcasts. That's going to do it for this episode of Rewatching Home Movies. Join us next week for Season 1, Episode 13, Brendan's Choice. If you like what you heard, check out our Linktree at RHMpod. There you can like, follow, and subscribe. Send us an email or leave us a 5-star review. I will read 5-star reviews on the podcast. Thanks to Tom Traeger for the refresh of our logo and Chris Bongat for the use of our theme song. On behalf of myself, Tim, and my co-hosts, Marcin and Adele, thank you for rewatching home movies with us. We'll see you next week. Bye.